All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group. And I'll tell you what, there is something that is going on around the world, and it is conversations in energy. And I have an absolutely wonderful guest tonight. In fact, I've got two wonderful guests tonight. I've got Taka, and he is with the IEEJ in Japan. Welcome, Taka. How are you today?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me to this wonderful podcast. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I'll tell you, I get so excited when I'm talking about energy and what is going on around the world. And I have a dear friend of the podcast, Cyrus Brooks. Cyrus and I have been on several podcasts, and the last one was with NJ Anook out of the African Energy Chamber, and he is just one of my all-time big heroes. Of course, Cyrus is one of my heroes too. So, hey, welcome to the podcast, Cyrus.
Thank you, Stu. Great to be back.
Now, I'll tell you what, this is really exciting. And Taka, where in Japan are you living right now?
Yeah. Sorry?
Where in Japan are you living right now?
Yeah, I'm in Tokyo.
And and how long have you had your doctorate?
Yeah, I get it 2 years ago, June 2022 for energy diplomacy for Japan.
Oh, energy diplomacy. That's pretty cool. Now, Cyrus, did you want to take the first question as we start rolling through this? Is that how you?
Sure. Well, that's interesting. I mean, when you did, maybe we even talk about that just briefly. What do you think? When you did energy diplomacy, could I ask just why you chose energy diplomacy? I mean, I'm just thinking. Energy diplomacy immediately brings to mind, the European and Russian and Ukrainian situation. But how come you chose it?
Yes, actually, as you might know, Japan is dependent on almost all the natural resources, the importing abroad, and Japan is a kind of the small island with a few natural resources. That's why Japan's energy diplomacy or energy procurement is a really important issue for our Japan. That's why I chose this topic.
Yeah, that is really cool because Japan has really got to have a wonderful energy policy when you have limited oil and gas reserves and drilling. So, and we've got several questions here in a minute on this, but when we talk about Japanese attitudes, did you want to bring that up, Cyrus?
Sure. I think that I think we're really curious, how it looks from the Japanese point of view, regarding energy and energy costs, and also you have energy costs and you have energy transition, right? And I'm kind of curious how that might differ from the West. So some of Europe has similar problems to, lack of resources or something. But still, I think the attitudes and is different than Western thought and Western policies. So how do you think that both government and people, how do those attitudes differ?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for questions. Actually, both the political and normal people level, the Japanese attitude toward energy seems to be more realistic in my feeling.
And, I would agree.
And for example, the Japanese government has been proposing that various pathways to the global energy transition. This means that not only from coal, oil, gas, and to renewables, not such kind of the linear pathway, but various pathways Japanese government proposing, and such kind of the proposed has also been accepted recently by other Asian countries, which have also various demographic and economic situation. And also the for the normal people level, yeah, of course, we Japanese are also caring about the environmental issues, since Japan is also suffering from the climate change, like floods or high temperature. Now the Tokyo is also really hot today as well, but we or Japanese seem to keen more on energy cost or stable energy supply, because to be honest, these factors are more affecting on our everyday life. So yeah, this is my feeling.
Taka, that is absolutely wonderful, because low cost energy equals industrialization and quality of life.
Yes.
And high cost of energy does not do any good. So and so we were so saddened to hear about the world, about the Fukushima reactors, and I'm thrilled that they're coming back online. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Actually, just after the Fukushima, the nuclear
Right.
stopped, and it declined directly. The portion of it declined directly. But recently, especially after the Ukraine crisis,
Right.
Japan also, how to say, suffering the increase of the energy security issue as well. That's
Yes.
why we Japanese are now considering to restart the nuclear the portion. And yeah, so that's the current situation.
And on importing natural gas, there's a lot of talk in political scenarios right now with Russia and North Korea and South Korea, and pipelines going from Russia to North Korea and to South Korea. And it would make a lot of sense to have Russian gas come down from in the north of Japan, and then also down from South Korea over, because I would rather have natural gas out of a pipeline than coal, because that's better for the environment. Is that something that's in the works?
Yeah, actually, we Japan now the import from the Russia only the LNG, the liquefied natural gas, not the pipeline.
Okay.
Yeah, to the Japan at this moment. And yeah, and currently Japan continue to import the LNG from the Sakhalin 2 project from the Russia, even after the Ukraine war. But we also have to consider to this import from the Russia, because the Western side, as one of the member of the G7, and we Japan also have to consider how we react to this war as well. So yeah, this how to say, the importing the energy from the Russia would be the one of the, how to say, issue we Japan facing right now.
I think that when you look at LNG and and trying to, it's kind of very strange. I mean, I believe Sakhalin, it's a very strange political situation where the north of Japan, those islands, where some of those islands, even disputed islands, were taken over by Russia after the Second World War.
Right.
And then, but that same area, maybe near that area, is Sakhalin, right? And so, I'm not sure if that area was actually originally Japanese, in the first place. Originally it was Japanese, but as you said, it's easy to say don't import Russian gas. Unless you don't have gas. So you find like countries like Lithuania or Latvia, like some of them are like 100% they import all from Russia. This kind of thing. So you couldn't say no Russian gas immediately. These guys are very, very, very dependent. So I can understand. practically anybody. I mean, U.S. is blessed with coal, natural gas, oil, and we didn't have oil in like 2000. We're fighting wars in Iraq because of oil, and and after the shale revolution, suddenly we have all this oil and gas. I think it's fascinating. Do you think it sounds to me like the practicality? Japanese are much more, I guess we say, pragmatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even when I was living in Japan in 1996, I mean, I was amazed at how much power they used. Shinjuku. I mean, it was like electric light town. I mean, it's huge amount of the lights and that were going on. I thought most of this must be coming from nuclear because it's so much power.
At that moment,
24 hours a day, right? Anyway, in regards to energy diplomacy, that's the point, is that with your area of expertise, it sounds like the government actually, kind of like the U.S. You remember, Stu, like back in 2000, like the government was really heavily involved in energy because the U.S. was running out of energy.
Right.
So the government had to be heavily involved, and we got into wars and all sorts of things. But now that we have so much energy, kind of less involved than it was. There's a lot more private enterprise in the U.S. kind of running things. Regardless of how much regulation, but we're not like fighting wars over gas or oil or coal or anything else. It sounds like Japan is still in the same situation that we were in, 25 years ago.
So Taka, are you is in Cyrus's point? Are you really looking for energy? Is nuclear considered energy security, and is LNG considered energy security? If you have long-term contracts with Qatar, with other countries, would that be considered energy security according to your discussions?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, actually, these 2 points, the nuclear and the gas, is one of the two major issues in Japan's energy strategy. And now Japan, before the Fukushima, around 25%, the portion of the in the energy mix was the nuclear. But at this moment, the portion is less than 10%. And now the government has the goal to increase this portion to the 20 or 22% in 2030 for the nuclear. And
by 2030?
Yeah, 2030. Yeah,
that's aggressive. That's cool.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
Great.
Yeah, that's aggressive. But actually, that the local consent, especially from the site or the surrounding site of the nuclear, has been always the not easy to be obtained. That's why there's still the uncertainty still exists. And if the nuclear restart not going as scheduled or as targeted, maybe we should more rely on continue to rely on the natural gas to fill the gap between the actual and the target. So that's. But on the other side, as you pointed out, if the demand of the natural gas is uncertain, Japanese buyers, is difficulty to conclude a longer term contract. But on the other side, that the supplier side, maybe the gas LNG supplier side prefers the longer term contract, of course, because to fix the profitability of the project, exporting project. So this is the kind of the dilemma that Japan especially the energy buyers that now they're
Right.
facing right now. Yeah.
In the US right now, we had one of our states, Florida, just outlawed offshore wind.
Mm-hmm.
So there is starting a backlash of people not liking renewable energy,
Mm-hmm.
wind and solar, because they're not as good for the environment as they're advertised sometimes. Like they kill eagles, they kill whales, and so it's really not as good. And so we're seeing a lot of that playing back and forth. Are you seeing that kind of people saying, yay, we have to go to wind and solar? And then there's people saying, no, we can't because it's expensive. How's that matching up?
Yeah, thank you. As for the renewable, now Japan, the portion of the renewable in the energy mix is now about the 20% in Japan.
Okay.
And the Japanese government also has a target to increase this renewable, including the hydro, maybe nearly the 40% in 2030. But
did you say hydro at 40%?
No, the renewable like solar and wind plus
Right.
hydro, the total target would
okay.
be
I was like,
yeah,
that's a lot of
40%.
water.
Yeah. Actually, the hydro is about the 7 or 8% right now. So yeah,
That's good.
yeah, kind of the level. But for the renewable, Japan is as you know, the small island, and maybe the place for the renewable is very limited, and also the the unevenly located, especially apart from the populated areas like Tokyo and Osaka. So the transmission of the electricity is also the difficult the issues to be overcome.
The mountainous areas have got to be tough because
yes.
Texas, Cyrus, was it $7 billion we spent to get our wind from West Texas to East Texas? And that's plains.
Texas is big.
It's flat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's true. Texas is absolutely flat. Like you just look and you can see the sky is huge and you don't see anything. But I know Tokyo is, it's pretty much.
Yeah. Yes. So
But
transmission, right? But the other thing, I think, Tokyo, it has 130 million people, right? Sorry, Japan. Japan has 130 million. Tokyo is like maybe greater Tokyo is something
30 million
25, 30, and so, but the distance between, say, these major cities, I mean, you start to go down to Osaka, and it's really far. What is it? 15-hour drive or something? Or
yes, maybe from Tokyo to Osaka, the 400 kilometers or something like that. So,
Right. And I actually did drive along the coast in Tokyo, around the coast, and it is, it's not like a direct, such a direct route. So, all these different cities, as you said, Stu, for sure, I think you're going to run into the same problem we run into. Like all the wind is far away from all the people, So, and the kind of, the windy areas, people from the country, they live in those areas, farmers, rural people, and they don't necessarily want those wind turbines, so that's what we ran into in the US, I think, is Stu, probably more about this, but didn't we run into a lot of like local pushback on development, kind of like what you're saying about nuclear. I think we're getting the same thing with renewables too.
Yeah, renewable too. Yeah, actually, that we Japan also how to that's how impact on the normal people's lives, like a noisy or something like that, and also that the sightseeing, that the traditional the how to say the scenery could
Yeah.
be damaged by such a increased solar or wind. So yeah, this discussion also the in Japan too we have.
Right. But they already have the established power stations, and I mean the infrastructure for natural gas is extensive. So theoretically, like you could your LNG is definitely like a solution for power needs right now.
Right.
How do you balance this like LNG in the future and natural gas in the future and this idea that the energy transition is like the 2030 or 2050 goals of the government?
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, this is a really difficult question, but Japanese government also trying to promoting that clean energy, clean LNG, like with carbon capture and storage, or carbon capture and utilization and storage, like CCS and CCUS.
Right.
Now the hot topic in the energy, and to make the imported LNG as clean as much possible, we Japan did. And also we Japan promoting that the test for the hydrogen or ammonia co-firing, and to decrease the portion of the hydrocarbon, and to decrease that emission, carbon emission or the methane emission, like that. So we would like to continue to use that fossil fuels like LNG, but we also would like to mitigate or lower the emission level to for the energy transition. And we Japan also have the goal to the net zero by 2050. So toward this goal, we try to do the effort. So that's
How is the electric vehicle or the EV transition going in? Because in the U.S., Cyrus and I have. I mean, it's amazing. We hit a stone wall. We went because Ford was losing $86,000 for every EV they sold. And so our government forced our mandates and said you have to go to EVs, but they ran out of money. So how are the EVs being adopted in Japan?
Yeah, actually, we Japan also try to increase the EV, but now the current discussion about to produce and to use the EV, we need the critical minerals.
Yes.
Yeah, and the critical minerals also, how to say, located,
The
focused.
supply chain is not good.
Yeah, concentrating in some area or some country. So if we increase the EV, maybe we increase the dependency on such producing countries of the
Right.
critical minerals as well. So this is also the headache. So maybe the balancing or diversion is really important.
I think that I am such a Toyota fan that Toyota and the flat out the hybrid cars have so much less battery, and I'm hoping Toyota rules the world in hybrids because they're leading the charge there, and I think that is really going to make a difference. I would rather have 60 miles per gallon on a gasoline engine, but have it as a hybrid, so part of it is electric. So I'm okay with a hybrid. I mean,
It's true, right? I mean, actually, I guess it's true that Toyota did kind of take the world by storm with the Prius, right?
Prius,
Way back,
yes.
Yeah, remember way back when Like, you know,
And Toyota also announced their hydrogen models that they're
No.
coming out with. So I think the innovation of Toyota I think and this is my personal opinion, Cyrus and Taka, that I could be wrong. But I think that Toyota with its hybrid and Elon Musk and Tesla are going to do very well. Those two are going to be the best. If you want an EV, I'd say go with a Tesla.
Mhm.
And I want as a second car a hybrid, but I don't like any of the things that I'm seeing around to do that. I can't tow a boat with a hybrid. You know, I've got big boats and all these trailers that I have to tow, so I have to have a big truck in order to do that right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, actually, yeah, EV or hybrid also the both the important, but we should be noticed. And even though we use the EV, we should also keen on the electricity we use, where is from. If the
Yeah.
electricity is from the coal fired, then the EV is not environmental as we imagine. So yeah, we should keen on this
Yeah, I
origination
think
as
so.
well.
You
So-
know, interesting point. I think one thing you said, Stu, is we talk about Toyota as a bit of an innovator.
Right.
And that thing, I think one thing I wanted to ask you, Taka, is more about the Japanese, can you say, culture, and kind of like, you know, it's like the innovation. Like I think because Japan doesn't have material resources, you know, I mean, you have to wonder, how did Japan survive at all in the last 150 years, you know, because they had no resources. But what do you think, what qualities that, I don't know if it's culture, what is, Japanese people seem to bring some special qualities, maybe some kind of innovation to the table, because they don't have, you know, it's like, not like Russia has gas and Texas, where we are, has tons of oil. You know, India has coal, and but Japan has none of those things. They don't have diamonds from South Africa or anything like that. So, but it seems like even with none of those things, they still seem to bring a lot, you know, to the table, bring a lot to this energy discussion. Why is that, do you think? Like, what is it for Japanese, like, you know, culture or spirit? What creates all this?
Yeah, actually, my opinion is that Japan has always the small in the island, so always under some kind of risks. So to survive, maybe we Japanese try to think how to overcome or something like for survival, something like that. So that's the important factor. And also our education system importance on the basis is important. And so maybe that based on this basis knowledge, we Japanese try to, how to say, innovate. So not the beyond the basis, but we had the focus on we embody the basis knowledge as well. So I think this is also the important factor, I think.
There was a story, Stu, you'll like this. There was basically, like, we had a guy in the California Angels in baseball. You'll like this too, Taka. It's baseball, right? You like baseball, right? Yeah. And his name was Reggie Jackson.
Oh, Reggie Jackson. And I know.
You know, okay. So Reggie Jackson, he would strike out all the time. Strike out, right? And but he hit a lot of home runs. And they basically said, this is a good example of Japan and the US. Japan would get single. Like they would just get more and more and more. Like it would just get single after single after single. But US would strike out a lot but get a lot of home runs. Like this is like the difference between the Japanese mindset.
Interesting point. Yes.
Yeah, and the American mindset. Pardon. But just going for that, like always improving something, like getting, I think you were talking about basic, like getting more, like improving it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Step by step or
step by step and all this kind of stuff. But is it a conservatism, maybe a little bit of kind of conservative,
Yeah. Interesting. This is kind of the conservative. So yes, we also have the characteristic of the conservatives. I also feeling so. But for survive in the global economy, we also have to say create some innovation to keep the economy. So yes.
Yeah.
So.
It's true. I'm still waiting for Japan to come back in phones, in their phones, like create something brand new that Korea and America has Apple phone, like
iPhone.
I'm just waiting for that. But anyway,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, we've got just about 5 more minutes here. So when we sit back, Taka, and you take a look, what is the IEEJ or Japan working on? What are some of your biggest focal projects that you've got coming around the corner?
Actually, IEEJ is an independent energy think tank, and we have the support from the government and also the private companies in Japan, energy companies. So we researchers are trying to research the data and also the facts, and based on these, we try to make some suggestion how Japan promote the energy policy or energy process. So this is our main topics, and we have a lot of teams. I'm in the gas group for energy security unit, but we also focus on the oil and the coal and also the environmental issues and climate change and also the nuclear and also some regional studies like how to see the Middle East or the Russia and something like that. So we have some kind of the consolidated think tank, energy think tank in Japan.
Well, that's cool. One of the things I was remiss as a host to do, and that is to bring up your slide that we were talking about this, because when we were talking about the Fukushima reactor, some of your slides in here, if you wanted to highlight your mix on renewables, you had alluded to these when we were talking about that. And this was a way for our folks to take a better look at that.
Can you tell us a little bit to talk about what we were looking at?
Okay. Yeah, actually, this is a history and the target of Japan's energy mix. And as I pointed out, that before Fukushima, like in 2010, the purple color is a 25.1% is for the nuclear. So maybe the 1/4 of the energy mix is nuclear. Right. But just after that, in 2015, dramatically declined to the less than 1%. And gradually, we increased the nuclear portion, and the target is the 20 or 22. But maybe the gap still exists. And also, we increased the renewable as color font in orange. But we also have some, the gap to reach the target. So in the target in 2030, we declined the LNG portion, maybe around half compared to the 2015. But if the renewable or nuclear going up smoothly, not going up smoothly, maybe we need to consider to fill the gaps by the using more LNG. So
And-
this.
This slide is very important because the price difference, or when you take a look at the orange in the column of 2022, 21.7% is orange, which is the renewables. And then if you go to 2030 with the target is the 36 to 38% with hydro, you take a look at the cost factor of that energy versus the nuclear energy or the LNG that you're reducing in there, the expense for that 36 to 38% is probably 20 to 40% more expensive than the energy below it. So as an economy is looking at how the economic is looking at that, that is something that I would really want to check on the finances on that. That one hit me after looking at this slide, because that is an expensive mix of how much money you're going to have to print, and fabricate the money in order to get to that big number of renewable energy. We are failing in the United States because of two different reasons. One is our regulatory agencies are terrible. I mean, we are so bad. We have the highest cost of regulatory agencies per capita in the world. We regulate ourselves just horribly. And we print money, but the money for those renewables is so expensive that the natural gas and LNG would be much cheaper in order to put in. So that looking at the bottom line, Taka, with the coal, that's a tough one to reduce to that level. This is my opinion. Reducing that much from 2022 to 2030 without having pipelines or natural gas or long-term LNG contracts, I don't know that I could see that, because of also the nuclear mix not coming up as fast. So man, this is one I want to watch, and I want to keep in touch with you over the years. And see how this kind of pans out. Cyrus, did I miss that?
No, I mean, I was a little curious to also hear that, you also have a decreasing, decreasing kilowatt hours. So you have a decreasing demand overall. And is that a little bit of deindustrialization? Like, are we looking at that? I mean, energy efficiency, I'm not sure.
Actually, we assume the energy efficiency at this moment, not the But your point is also important. That whether we can do this or not is we should keep on watching. And
watch California. Watch California, because California is really strict on gas, and very all in on renewables. So they are definitely something to watch. If you put an opinion forward that maybe would be against renewables, would that be okay? Do you have like a kind of academic freedom to speak, even if it's kind of negative about renewables? Do you have that kind of freedom?
Actually, sorry, for the nuclear,
for speaking about, like, if the renewables are too expensive, is that maybe is it hard to say that in Japan? Like in America, people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, actually, we Japan, we fully discussed that, including the cost comparison, and yeah, actually for the nuclear, the material itself or the cost is relatively low. But if we consider that how to say some services or some prevention
Yeah,
measures or something
sure.
like that, maybe the cost should be increased. So yeah, actually we should also discuss including this factor as well for the
Uh,
safety. Safety is
yeah.
really important, especially in Japan, to restart the nuclear. So yes, this cost for the safety is also deserve the discussion.
Yeah, I think so. And Stu, it seems to me like they
Mm.
are much more pragmatic in Japan. Like I would love the US to be so pragmatic about energy
Mm.
and affordability. You know, we are, yeah, we are pretty polarized. So,
Mm.
I mean, they
It's sad.
can, yeah, I mean, like I guess for you, like the northeast of Japan is actually a
Mm.
bit like the northeast in the U.S. You know, like
Mm.
Vermont. I'm from Boston originally, Boston,
Ah.
Massachusetts. And New York has actually blocked gas pipelines from being built, so that there's actually energy security problems in the Northeast. I can't
Oh.
imagine like someone blocking Sapporo, the North Island
Oh.
in Japan, from getting
Mm.
gas. I just can't imagine that.
And Taka, they also they in California, they have California and New York have our highest energy,
Mhm.
and they both do not want to have U.S. companies manufacture or bring in LNG or natural gas or pipelines, or have us provide our own. So California buys 70% of the Chinese oil that is drilled out of the rainforest, destroying the rainforest.
Oh.
California. And then
Mm.
we have New York that was bringing in from Trinidad and Russia LNG into the Boston port in LNG. So we are hypocrites. I
Mm.
mean, our those two main areas are
Yeah.
bad. We're not very smart.
Ah. Some. I see. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, energy issues are really difficult, and also that. Yeah. I also feel. Mm.
the import has been long term on this particular, as the
Mm.
ratio of long term. Yeah, we had mentioned this a little earlier in the show as well.
Mm.
And 70 to 90% among the LNG import has been long term. Taco, what is a normal long term contract for an LNG contract for Japan? I've never seen them like they've been coming around from Qatar and around the world at 27 years, 18 years, 17. I've never seen these kind of long term contracts. What's
Mm.
normal in Japan?
Uh, yeah, actually, yeah, actually, this portion is really high, and the long term means that basically that over 4 years is a long term contract.
That
So,
to me would be normal.
uh, yeah. So, but we Japan also have that 20 or 25 years long
Okay.
contract. Yeah, since the 1970s or something like that. And currently, actually, that China or European companies also concluded that the 27 years LNG contract with the Qatar. So some kind of the long contract also now that to be seen. So
But
yeah, this is.
isn't
So
that
if you
Cyrus?
have,
Sorry,
yeah,
wasn't that why Germany got into trouble in
Mm.
the EU got into trouble because they did not have contracts, and they were going through the spot pricing,
Yes.
and they were beholden to Russia.
Mm.
So I mean, even President Trump warned them, said, "You guys are playing with fire there."
yeah.
Yeah, actually, the European, just after the Ukraine war, they are very suffering from the price hikes for procurement at the spot. So
It's
to
true.
reflect this fact, maybe the European companies also trying to increase that long-term contract as well after the Ukraine war to mitigate such kind of the risks.
Maybe they need to learn from Japan.
Um,
I would like to learn from Japan.
yeah. Actually, this is an interesting point. And before the Ukraine war, Japanese utilities has sometimes always been the how to say criticized or scorned to buy a high price of the LNG based on the long contract rather than the spot market. But after the Ukraine war, maybe the Japan was suffering the less price hikes because based
Yes.
on the longer term contract. So now
Right.
some kind of the long contract for the LNG would also be how to say the so
Suddenly it
attractive.
looks good.
Yeah, it
Suddenly it
looks
looks
good.
good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah. There's do you think Japan is ready to be like a portfolio player and
Uh,
reselling? Because they have so much long term
mm,
LNG that they're gonna end up with. I mean, some. I don't know how much because I think they're gonna need more gas than they think if
mm.
they add more renewables. That's my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
assuming they have, I mean, how well do you think Japan can adapt to becoming a reseller, a portfolio player?
Mm. Yeah, actually, for the Japanese utility players like gas or electricity, they are some kind of the public service provider. So they would not be like a real portfolio player because
Yeah,
suffering from the how to say the big loss or
yeah,
due to the spot buy and sell. But Japanese trading companies like Mitsui and Mitsubishi were trying to how to say increase their portfolio over world and
yeah,
to become like a portfolio player to fill the gaps or something like that. So
yeah.
this is the current situation.
And I noticed years ago, I was in Korea at the time, but I noticed that Japan was heavily involved in Southeast Asia, which is
Mm.
growing. And do you think that area will be part of this effort to become a portfolio player, resell
Mm.
LNG? Like not only they're gonna involve there, but they had some infrastructure
Mm.
involved in Southeast Asia.
Mm.
So what's
Ah,
their involvement going to be like in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, Japan also had to deepen the relationship with the Southeast Asia to how to say the buy the LNG together or the balance the resell to the LNG to them because that the temperature or how to say the climate phenomenon is really different from
Mm,
Japan and Southeast Asia. So how to say the if the winter is really cold, Japan needs more LNG. But on the other side, the Southeast Asia, they are warmer, maybe the
mhm.
moderate level of the temperature at that time. So maybe we should swap the LNG or something like that. So yeah, we Japanese also considering such cooperation.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's I think Japan is really energy diplomacy is very interesting.
Mm.
We started with that point, energy diplomacy,
Mm.
and Japan has. It seems like Japan is making great strides towards improving relations. Like in the history, people always like to bring up history when they blame Japan.
Mm.
But it sounds like modern times they're actually making a great roads to diplomacy in the Southeast Asian area. Would you agree?
Yes, yes. Now that we are trying to trying to deepen relationship cooperation, and also that, as I pointed out, that the various pathways for the energy transition, we Japan and also the Southeast countries also, how to say, would request such a realistic pathway toward the global world.
All right.
Yeah.
So, well, this was really cool. And I'll tell you what, Taka, I want to stay
Mm.
in touch with you because I want to know how your thought process rolls through on these next few years on these things.
Mm.
You are
Yeah.
always welcome back.
Thank you
And if
very
there's
much.
any way that I can help spread the word for the IEEJ Japan, let me know. I want to help. Cyrus, as always, you are always welcome on the podcast here. So, any last words, Taka?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is also really great opportunity for me to join this podcast. And definitely I would also like to keep in touch with you, and I will come again in this podcast as well. Thank you very much.
And how about you, Cyrus? Any last words for you?
I would say it's great to connect with such a great person from Japan. I'm really looking forward to the pragmatism. Nathan Hammer is on just pointed out it's almost illegal to do construction projects in the USA due to all the regulations, and I think it's true. You know, like if we were only so practical. As Japanese. So I think that we can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
With that, hey, we will talk to everyone soon and have an absolutely wonderful 4th of July. And we will see you guys next time on the Energy News Beat podcast. And we are